So today, the RBA, the Reserve Bank of Australia, increased their cash rate from 3.6% by another 25 basis points to 3.85%. The effect that this is going to have on households in the Australian landscape and the impact it's going to have on the economy is just astronomical. It isn't merely about the increase in mortgage repayments, it is also the downward pressure on raising wages, salaries, and that of independent businesses, and the whole gamut is just under immense pressure right now. The metrics by which this RBA board look at is essentially the old, stale, pale, white male philosophy, and the metrics that they use are broken. They are that broken that the ship sunk long ago at sea, and this is not sustainable in any way, shape, or form. With all that being said, I do feel for all the families, all the households out there, the double income parents and so on that are under immense pressure right now for what's going on. However, there is a dual negative to this as well. And the point to this is those individuals that are at break point must also look in the mirror right at this point in time and take a good, hard, long, reflective look at why they are where they are. Because when we buy at such a low rate, knowing that it can only go one way, which is up, not to the percentage rates, hopefully, within the next 20 years of the 17% that we felt in, I think it was at the 80s, but to the point where, oops, what's happened with my phone? There we go. But to the point where responsibility ultimately comes for how leveraged we are in our own circumstances. So whilst we might be pushing out to the RBA, and do I think what they've done is correct? No, not by any stretch of the imagination. So that's one side. The other side of the coin is how have certain individuals, certain families, certain households gotten to a point where they are so leveraged at this dramatically increased rates that have happened that they're in this position. So, twofold. RBA, wrong. How are households as leveraged as they are? That's something you need to take a hard, reflective look at. And if you haven't started to do that, now is the time. Because now is the pivot point. Even though they held it for, April's reserve announcement, today they put it back up another 25 basis points. Even if it was like 10 basis points, right? Something. But the fact it's 25 just shows how aggressive they are on tackling inflation. Meanwhile, Woolies, Coles, whoever else, all the big box retailers are showing record earnings in the billions of dollars. Something's amiss here. And if you haven't yet worked out what it is, take a look around and figure out who you're supporting, where you're spending your money, who you're giving your money to. And I highly recommend a massive recalibration within each and every household, because the way it's been going is not working and it will not work. It's broken, it's done, it's end of story. So this isn't a doom and gloom post. This is a post of reflection and going, okay, they're not there to help us. They're not there to aid us. They talk about the inflation and the metrics and GDP and all the rest of it. A lot of these things are done now. The world has changed and they are not changing with it. So the question is, when are you? When am I? And when are collectively we going to band together and show that we as a community, we as a nation of individuals can actually get this moving in the right direction and stop looking to the powers that be out there in government and in policy making to make these decisions for us. Grow some balls and let's do this.